I'm just being honest. Connecting with the Black Experience, it is one of your hosts, the most disliked popular guy, Barry Axius, and the essence, the most popular queen, goddess, gal, beloved, holy one, Queen Monroe. You know what I'm
Hey,
saying?
family. Hey.
Like, hey, girl, you
Barry,
got
you're.
me looking crazy.
No,
I'm
you
here in just a black t-shirt and a black blue print shirt, and you acting like you've been outside all day. What's
no,
poppin'?
hey, now look, your camera's in soft focus. You look so like just soft and cloudy, and I love it. I love it. I love it. So how does week 3 quarantine working for you, Barry? Week 3.
You know what, sis? The thing about it, you know what? I don't really know if I'm really quarantining. I mean, I've been out here in these streets, not negatively, not being out there wilding, but I've just literally been out there, trying to make sure I make things happen for our community.
Right on.
Working, you know what I'm saying, the good works of the people. Shouts out to my brothers, the Three Black Chefs. We've been doing our food, our community feed, our beloved community feed. So we've been into that, as well as, I have to still get this money. I've been serving out plates Saturday and Sunday. I'm out here, pushing the seriously delicious food. And man, I just sat there, girl. I just sat there and made this old Lord jerk salmon and shrimp dish.
My sister had it yesterday. Seen Dottie.
Listen. Shouts out to your sis, man. That was a good thing. And then, of course, I had my oxtails, jerk chicken, curry chicken, goat curry on Saturday and Sunday. So, to be honest with you, I'm still kind of grinding. I am taking the time when I have to lay low. But Thursday and Friday, we doing the feed. And then Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, we doing the push. But I got my gloves on. I got the mask on, so we're keeping ourselves safe.
So Barry, lift your volume up. Somebody's saying they can't hear you. Is your volume up on your?
My volume's up. We at 100.
Okay, I think mine is too. Hold on, let me just double check mine real quick. Hold on, fam. But keep talking, Barry. I'm just gonna go ahead and adjust the sound.
So that's kind of like where I've been in in the moment, but. It's been crazy. It's been crazy because, once you start doing all the stuff that you do, right? See, I'm trying to go ahead and share this out. Hold on.
Gotcha.
We got all type of stuff. Can the folks hear us now?
Yep, you should. Yeah, let's see, because I did turn it up. Somebody said I can't hear the brother. So I just turned it up.
Yeah, you better be careful with that cough, lady.
This is. I'm feeling wonderful, okay? I'm feeling wonderful.
So I've been kind of moving and grooving and doing my thing, and I'm pushing. Again, I have to give a shout out to everybody that has donated for the project, feeding our beloved community with the Three Black Chefs. Shouts out to Chef Will. We have served in 2 days. To utilize our skills, our abilities to go ahead and enforce, the things that we know how to enforce, and that is the food. And in these communities, especially one in like Meadowview, the food is scarce anyway. You know what I mean? So you have a lot of communities that are dealing with this pandemic, but have already been dealing with their crisis and things that they've been dealing with before this crisis. Brothers and sisters have kind of stepped in front, where a lot of folks will kind of like, fade into the back because they don't really know how to one, be leaders, and two, play their role and figure out what the people need at this particular. From us, we're not worried about how many plates you're getting. We're going to get the plates to you. We're going to try to feed as many people as we can. And, it's great to feel that not only are people being fed, but folks are actually enjoying the food. They're complimenting our chefing, and folks have donated, and we appreciate that. So, again, continue to donate. Barry Axius, Cash App, and as well as PayPal. One, a lot of folks have been hitting us up because I'm gonna tell you right now, real talk, sis, it is very expensive to feed a whole lot of people that need, right? You're talking about the containers of the food, forks. We're talking about all the equipment and all the stuff that needs to be made for us to make sure we're safe, our gloves and all those type of different things, and the amount of food that we have to buy in bulk. It's not cheap. So, so folks who are donating, know that it's all going in the right place, as well as we have some of our youth working, and we're also paying some of our youth as well. So all donations are going to a great cause, a place. We appreciate it. We're going to be doing this week. Will be April 2nd and 3rd, Thursday and Friday at 4 p.m. We moved it back a little bit. 3 o'clock time was a little bit too early of a start-off time, so it'll be 4 p.m. and we're going to be doing barbecue. We'll be doing burgers and hot dogs and chicken. So
right on.
We're going to barbecue for the people. Like I said, again, Cash App, Barry Axius, BERRY, or one Voice of the Youth at Gmail. Fund me. And just see what more volume we can get. I had somebody just hit me up saying, hey, they had a cash donation. And I was like, wow, that's great. Because trust me, this is all coming out of our pocket.
Right on.
And in these moments and times, everything is scarce. So it's great to see our beloved community step in. But it's all what's the word I'm looking? They're exhausted. And I think they're running amok because they're having so much of a need. So for me, I'm looking at a situation to where how can we diversify, right? And how can we change up and switch it up a little bit instead of folks going and getting meals or getting bags of groceries? Why not just create the meal, have people come pick it up, and make it easier for everyone else? I think sometimes leadership shows how much they're out of touch, though they say they're in touch, of the needs of the community. And that's, again, something that I wasn't surprised about because this dude, you know what I mean, is kind of lackluster in a lot of the different things that they do. But again, it shows me that the only people that are going to save us from this is us. So if we don't get ourselves together and if we don't come together as a community and challenge what we consider as normal, that the people are going to just let us slaughter ourselves. They don't really see the impact. They don't understand that, okay, the families have gotten free lunch, free breakfast, but they don't have a dinner. And they can't buy a dinner. Get what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Folks need a little bit of a cushion. They need support. April 1st is around the corner, right? The stimulus package ain't got here to no one's house yet. Rent still got to get paid. And even if you don't pay your rent or your mortgage, you're going to have to pay that in the back end. You know what I mean? So it's to me very alarming how folks react and how folks, respond. And my thing is, I would have loved if the person responded at least in a way of, hey, don't have that, but I can help you with this. And they didn't even do that.
Well, I think sometimes, though, Barry, no defense, but I think sometimes, and this is a lesson I had to learn, no, seriously, about people in high places or people who I think have power. Whatever answer they give you was the answer that was meant for you.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't think we're going to all work together, Barry. I just think that we didn't do that on all. I mean, some of us will, some of us won't. And when people tell you no to you, it really is the universe telling you to still remain great. That's not your route. That's not your route. Because it didn't stop you from doing what you're doing. But I just feel like when people tell you who they are, believe it. Like you can't convince the person that this is a good idea because it ain't their idea. And some people are not like, hey, how can I support you, bro? You know, some people, so right now, some people are afraid because their positions are being challenged or we've never been in anything like this before, to memory. So, we don't know what to do when somebody's moved your cheese. One day you had a job, you was at the top of your game. The next day, you're not sure if you have a job. You don't know if you got enough money in your savings because we spend so much on wants. We're not prepared with our needs.
Yes,
I was telling somebody, I remember back in the day, like my mom was on the fixed income. She always had more savings money than all her kids, and we all had good jobs. So what is it that she knew that we refused to do? You know what I mean? Like save. Like I have this big thing about saving. Like when we get this so-called stimulus check, which ain't really much, how many people gonna run out and spend that check, and how many people gonna save it and maybe pool their resources with other people and do something with it?
Or flip that check.
Flip that check, right. But how many of us is gonna do that when you know most of us live in needs? I tell you what I have discovered. I have discovered that America don't have as many poor people as she would like to think she have. Because I'm watching people still do shit like we're not in some kind of big change. You know, I'm watching us still partying, still playing basketball, still just buying a bunch of hair weave because the hair supply store ain't closed. You know, I'm watching us doing a lot of wants and not a lot of needs.
Yeah.
I'm not watching us stack things up. You sent me that video.
Oh, we did. We stacked toilet paper and paper towels. You talking about?
Well, who? Not us. Because when I was seeing people buying them big things, it wasn't us. It was the paramilitary people. It was like grannies. You know what I mean? Like people who come from families who do shit like that. We joke about paramilitary people, but they seem to be the only ones ready for some shit for real.
Yeah.
Even though we think they crazy.
Well, I think this has been eye-opening. This shows us that, we are not prepared. All this revolutionary talk that a lot of these folks, abolitionist talk that a lot of these folks like to, throw out there, the rhetoric that they spew. I don't hear too many of them. A lot of the savior talk with pastors and preachers, those with those mega churches. I don't hear too many of them talking about hopeful things and things of that nature, or nobody really knows where we're going. And like you said, again, this is uncharted territory that we've had. I mean, in
this ain't covered in the book.
Yeah, I mean, in the past, we've read about it, but for us to really that we considered a distraction, considered that released a breakaway to kind of forget about whatever's going on, right, in our world, whether it's a bar, whether it's a church, whether it's a club, whether it's a sporting event, whether it's going to the mall, shopping, or just conversing with people. All of that stuff has been eradicated, whether it's throwing your kids and knowing that they'll be at school for a bunch of hours. It's kind of like, man, you have to really face yourself. And I think that the reality of folks facing themselves has really created a definite block in the ideas that a lot of people thought they had. And I think that for me, when I look at it, I don't hear these people that have talked about destroying the system really talk about the moment, because the system is eroding, right? And there ain't no conversation on what to do next. Now, I know soldiers that are in the field making sure we comfort our people in the moment of need, but I'm not really hearing too much from these so-called revolutionaries, these so-called abolitionists, these so-called radicals, these so-called individuals that have always told us to shut it down and break it off and whatever. It's like they ain't got nothing to say in this moment. I think this is a time when you're talking about, here's our game plan, here is how we build. When you are so stuck on a system, you really realize how stuck on a system you truly are when that system starts eroding and that system starts allowing itself to get away from you. And I think that a lot of folks have to come to realize that we, as black people all together, and I'm going to say that in my opinion, we are not even close, near. We are so far from a revolution in a sense where we will take over anything, because right now is a takeover, and I don't see a lot of folks stepping to the plate to be a part of that.
Well, of course not, Barry, because takeover means responsibility, self-governance. Shit we are afraid of for the most part. We are afraid of self-governance. We are afraid of total responsibility where you don't blame the man or his white mama or the police, or self-governance is a hell of a thing. That means you have to be accountable to yourself. That means you really do have to pay your rent. That means you really do have to make sure that if you're going to be the head of some shit, you gotta have an answer for it all. Because that's what self-governance is. It's like you have to know, you have to rely on yourself, basically. And some of us ain't ready for that. You know that, Barry.
Yeah, and that's why I learned it from, actually seeing when it was time to feed our people. You know, folks call me up every day like, what are we gonna do? Folks needed to they need some support in some kind of way.
Right on.
So that's when I got my people together, my team. I said, okay, well, let's do it this way, because this is the way I know how to do it. And this is the thing about it: we all have our own skill sets.
Right on.
So this is the time to use your skill set. My skill set ain't gonna be taking people out to the gun range or around into the woods and showing them how to hunt. That's not my skill set, right? My skill set is giving the ability to show how to deliver food and do those necessary things. I'm the food department in that mindset, as well as the build. Like this time I've told folks, this ain't a time for chaos. This is a time to focus and build. Come up with that game plan, like you said earlier.
Yep.
That package is gonna come. Utilize that package and flip that package. This is the time and the opportunity, because one thing I do know, a lot of people more than they don't, were ready for April 1st. Now May 1st, that's a whole other thing. But was ready for April 1st. So with that being said, when you know this extra nuts coming in, as well as for your kids, how many people are going to get that money for their kids and spend it on themselves? Right then, if you don't have a bank account or a trust fund or whatever for your child, that's when you start flipping that for your child. If you don't have insurance for your child because whatever was too expensive, that's when you start flipping it for your child. Start thinking in that level, not saying we're going to use JoJo's 500, we're going to use Sandra's 5, go get that new TV at Walmart. That's not the time to do that.
Right on. Hold on. So, Sister Nicole, my cousin Nicole says, the stimulus check will be spent on materials to support people and companies that's right now in the time of crisis. They are making no contributions to help support the people or the poorest communities. Priorities are totally misplaced. And I agree, but I think it's misplaced by the people. That's what I think. Because I think we've always had governments who made money off of the way we think. So the government is doing what it's due.
Yeah, but I think that it's misplaced by the people in a way of, I think the people really thought compassion, humanity would come over when it got this bad. You got to remember, sis.
I don't think it's bad yet, Barry. I don't think it's bad yet.
In the sense of, it's not bad in numbers and other things.
I mean, no, really, we ain't felt it yet, though. We ain't really felt it yet.
Yeah, we haven't, but it's bad in a way where now, again, the normal distractions, you don't have that no more. You're having to deal with that spouse every day. Wow. You're having to deal with that child every day. That job that you were just complaining about, they're telling you stay at home. That job that you said, I don't want to go back there, they just laid you off. So there's a lot of different, you can't go to that bar that you usually go to on Fridays and Saturdays, get a drink with your girlfriends, talk that shit. You can't do that no more. So in a social setting, it's gotten pretty bad. For me, I've been practicing social distancing before social distancing became a word, because I like to do my thing. I like to protect my energy. I like to protect my peace. And again, I'm still working because I can work in a collaborative and I can also work in a solo aspect.
Yep,
so it's okay with me. But I think what is happening right now, the first effect is socially connecting or disconnecting people from what they once didn't really appreciate, but now appreciating more, and two, having to now deal with things that they probably kind of brushed off. How many relationships do you probably know right now that is dealing with some domestic violence in their household? And it can't even be dealt with or handled in the way it was before.
I was agreeing with you. I was saying, or just abusive language.
Exactly.
Because now they got to be stuck with each other for real.
That's a part of domestic.
No, I agree. I'm just saying. I mean, people think sometimes when you talk crazy to people, that's not abusive.
Nah, you can't talk to people crazy like that 24. Yeah. And then, like I said, the food insecurities. That's one of the things me and my 3 black chefs are dealing with, because we know that capacity, right? We know that. I know that for a fact. Working in these communities, food security is like a major thing. So if folks can't get something to eat, it's really going to be a situation. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Tina said over here on my side,
Right on.
you know, some folks is isolating with the abuser. Yes, and I think that part psychologically is affecting us more. Now, what has not really happened? See, the thing about it, we still have not gotten to the point where now they're going to start talking about supermarkets are shut down by 3 o'clock. Or we're only going to have a certain amount of supermarkets, because that's been people's social attachment. It's going to the supermarket, going to Costco. You know, people are being social over there. So they're doing that. So once those things start eradicating, that's when you're going to start people going stir crazy. And if you want to look at folks that are not being able to handle it, I just saw two things that were just asinizing to me. It was I want to believe it was in LA, that they had a party that the police had to break up. And as we all know, we have to shelter in place. And black folks, that's who I saw a majority of, black folks was having a commotion and acting ignorant and acting wild over being, displaced out of the place. I don't know if the police did anything, because you know they on BS. But hey, I'm looking at the video for what it is. Then you have in Oakland, Cass was having a sideshow. They was having a sideshow. I hear somebody, because it was an accident, one person died, but here it is in a shelter in place where they're telling you to stay home as much as you possibly can, go for your essentials. There is a sideshow, and there's Negroes acting up over some party in the afternoon. So, sister, are we taking this shit as serious as we should be?
I think some of us are and some of us aren't, Barry. I'm just going to be honest. I think some blacks, I know a lot of black people who secured their kids who are away in school, brought their kids home. I know some black folks that's been on it, helping people, whatever. Then I know because it's like in life, Barry, there's some of us who are helpful and going to be of assistance and of love and of peace. And then there's some of us, because they still killing people in Chicago right now. You think, okay, are we still having violence as high as it is in Chicago? Talk to some sisters from there on Sunday. Yes, they are. So it's kind of like there are still some people who think it's another day in the neighborhood. Like they don't even give a shit. So I feel like, and then when I seen that video you sent me, see, we'd be the first to talk about how bad the police is. But who is going to tell these Negroes, no, you cannot have a goddamn birthday party. You can't have this big turn up. Woman called the police officer a bunch of faggots and all kind of shit. And I'm like, that is so unnecessary. You should have just packed your shit up and left, because you know the world is on quarantine. What make you think you got the right to do shit? See, it be shit like that, and then that same person gonna want us to go out and protest if the police bust their ass. Now, they ain't bust nobody's ass. I didn't see that on the video. But that's because they ain't ran into those rogue cops who be like, I don't give a fuck about a video, because I'm protected by the Fraternal Order of Police. Now, she could have had one of them motherfuckers, but that's not who they got down there in LA on this occasion. So, sister ought to be very grateful. But what I'm saying is, to you personally, black person, all of us are on quarantine up in here.
Yeah, that's what.
And I think,
and I think that because we have distrusted this government for so long, I get it.
Unless they're giving out checks, but go.
I understand it, but the reality is sometimes, even with the conspiracy theorists, this is what it is, y'all. Do I feel there's a lot of bullshit, and am I telling people to watch the hook? Most definitely. But there has to come a time and a place where organizing in a way to where it makes sense for the next wave, right? Because the next wave gonna come, and guess what? Are you going to be prepared? And I say that by saying this. I remember in 2008, I was dead ass broke because of the recession. I was done. This is when I started and I created, and this is the thing where I talk to folks all day long about, there's not a right time to start your own. Just start it. Don't wait for the perfect time. You know what I mean? I started mine in a storm. I had no money. I had really no idea on what I was doing. I just knew that I had a purpose to do. So I started my nonprofit. And I went through a lot of different emotions because the wave of recession is still hitting, and I'm broke and I ain't got no money. And I remember how I felt in that moment. And what I said to myself that when this is all done, when I get back on my feet, because I'm going to get back on my feet, I am never going to be back in this place again. I am going to be more prepared for the next time. Guess what happened? 2020. Here we are in a situation that folks want to say ain't recession, but it is a recession. And now I'm very prepared. Why? Because in 2008, I remembered. I sat there and said to myself, had I been prepared for all of the collisions in life, had I been more organized, had I been more reluctant to spend on material things or party in moments or get that little bit of money I did have and do something righteous with it in a positive way, I would have probably had more of a cushion going into the route that happened. But it happened all for the right reasons because I'm so prepared now. And that's what I want to tell my people. We must understand this is about preparation. This is about preparing yourself for the next round. Do not hide, do not falter, do not lose yourself in this moment. Be creative as you can. The storm is here, but just like any storm, it's going to go away. The rebuild is what you have to really be worried about. And I think that a lot of our people are so worried about the wrong thing. When I saw the sideshow, when I saw the berating of the police, and trust me, there is no thing in my mind where I wanted to sit there and say the police is wrong, but I know what the order is. And the order is there are people getting sick somehow, some way. We don't necessarily know how, but when you're looking at the numbers, somebody's dying. And when people say these dumb things like, well, I don't know anybody that got coronavirus. Guess what? I don't know anybody that got HIV right now. Don't mean they don't have it. You know what I'm saying?
Right on.
So let's be very honest on how we should approach this. And I think we need to approach this with a little bit more tact, a little bit more skill, and honoring our own self. If you don't want to honor your own self, well, then honor somebody else. I just think that, for me, this is the best time for us to go underground like Fraggle Rock, because I don't want these people messing with me on no level. I don't even want to give them the opportunity to give me any kind of ticket or even have a conversation with me. That's when things get ugly. And that's what I'm more worried about.
So I did hear there is a 7 p.m. curfew in Sacramento. Because I got word that a few people got pulled over or stopped by the police and asked them what were they doing out. Because there is a 7 p.m. stay in the house order.
I heard that was. I heard 12 o'clock. I don't know about 7 p.m.
I heard 7. I heard 7.
Nah, I don't know about 7 p.m.
You know what?
I think it would be a big deal if it was a 7.
I was almost up. Damn, the sun is still up at 7. But I mean, I heard 7. I've heard a few people got pulled over.
It can't be. I don't know whoever gave that information. It can't be at 7 p.m. Why I say that? Because Walmart and stores are closing at 8:30, 8 o'clock. So how could you have a curfew?
I don't know, but you know what? If anybody have information, please plug that in. I'm sending an email to the person right now. I mean, like a text to the person right now. Ask them,
7 p.m. Nah, there ain't no 7 p.m. curfew. And see it again. Misinformation and creating these ideas. Right now, it's not time to create more chaos and give people misinformation or try to create something that's necessarily not there. There's no way. Now, can it happen? I think it can happen if folks don't start staying inside and doing the right thing. But 7 p.m., nah, I refute that. And I'm definitely not one of the people to stand up and say the government. Actually, to be honest with you, I'm happy that everyone's getting exposed. I'm excited because we're watching a few different things go down. Right? The $2 trillion stimulus package that is now going to come to most Americans, from what I'm hearing, rumors have it that some of you deadbeats ain't gonna get that check, so don't wait up for the check. You know what I mean? That's what I'm hearing. Someone has to verify that. But I'm hearing if you're owing on some child support, you're not gonna get a check. So that stimulus hustle that you thinking.
Okay, so Sister Crystal, tell me where you are. I'm not sure if you in Texas or Vegas, or even if you're back here in Sacramento. She said she heard it from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. So she'll give us a little bit more information on that, Barry, because people listen from all over the place. And I don't know. I mean, that could be. Here's the thing. But here, let me just say this before you get your point out. What I'm gonna say is that sometimes how you can be seen, it depends on your neighborhood. Because I heard it was 2 black boys who had got stopped, and it was like around 8 o'clock, and they said, yeah, the order starts, it's at 7 p.m. I don't know if that was like an actual fact in terms of like the timing, or if it because they were 2 black boys walking and they got stopped by the police, like, what are you doing outside? And that was in Sacramento, that wasn't in Elk Grove. But it could be. Elk Grove police could be a mess too. Don't get twisted.
Well, here's the thing, sis. And again, this is why I'm saying that can't be, that don't, okay, so if it's a 7 p.m., why are stores still open?
But I don't, you know what, because I don't think
it's curfew for 7 p.m., why are stores still open?
Because stores could be open, Barry. Some stores can. Yeah, you can, Barry. Yeah, you can. Business is different than people, Barry.
It's logic.
No, it's not logic. It's not logic because nothing's logical about some of this stuff, Barry. It is not logic. Because your logic may not be the same as the people running shit logic.
Let me finish what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm saying, okay, this is logical. If you have a curfew, if there's a curfew at 7 p.m., that means that there can be no stores open because everyone has to be inside. How can you have a curfew at 7 p.m. when grocery stores all close at 8 or 8:30?
But what if you're an essential staff person, Barry? I'm just saying, there's a lot of things. Hold on,
everything has to be closed.
No. It didn't say everything has to be closed, Barry. You're talking about a business as opposed to a human being walking around outside. And I know that, maybe, hold on, Barry. We'll have to agree to disagree. You're not going to convince me that you're right. Let me just say that. I know that's kind of hard for you, but you're not going to convince me. Somebody just said that that's a fact because they just looked it up. Now, maybe it's not a fact for you, so you don't have to follow that. But there are some people who are following that, and that's okay.
Where is this?
Well, this person's going to tell me right now. I just asked the person. I just asked this person.
Because I don't understand if
we don't have to make you understand it, Barry. You can understand your own understanding.
Wait, fast food spots are open.
Oh, excuse me. So this is a woman here that's a nurse. This woman named that. The nurse, Rosie, said, as an essential worker, I am out after curfew. We are allowed to shop due to our hours. I'm a nurse. I know that's a hard sell, Barry, but hey, somebody gonna look. Thank you for that, Crystal. Look that up if you could. I mean, she looked it up. She said I looked it up. It's a fact. So okay. And then Nicole basically said casualties of war are not going to just be someone who caught coronavirus and possibly died. There will be more casualties because folks refuse to see the to be an individual, community, or a national crisis. You're absolutely correct. We're going to definitely have more casualties because people are going to do what the fuck they want to do. Nicole said food stores I heard, Barry. I mean, that's so. Don't mean those 2 people got stopped by the police. It don't mean that they were invisible. It happened to them here in Sacramento, and they didn't get a ticket. They got a warning.
I've heard 12. I've heard 12 a.m.
Okay, you heard 12. I heard 7. It don't mean that your 12 is better than my 7 or my 7 is better than your 12. Okay. We got to learn to be like, that's what we both just heard. It's okay.
Proof is proof.
Proof is proof. But I mean, Barry, what are you talking about, player? What are you talking about? I'm just giving you some information. You don't get to just tell me what I heard and learned ain't true because what you say is true. It don't work like that. We could both respect each other's opinions or belief or fact or whatever you want to call it, but that happened to somebody. And I'm sorry it don't fit inside your thought.
First of all,
yes, essential workers can be out after 7 p.m. That's why fast food.
I'm not disputing it happened. Only thing I'm disputing is the time. I'm not disputing.
You don't have to dispute the time. You don't have to dispute the time. You could just say, like you just saying, like, hey, you heard it was noon. And I say, great, I heard it was 7. There you go. Crystal says, yes, essential workers can be out after 7 p.m. That's why the fast food and stores are open. But others will never show proof but others will have to show proof or be fined. Yeah, the young men said they were giving a warning. They didn't get a ticket, they got a warning. So, yeah, we just have to see how that go. I just think that you asked a question are black people taking this seriously. Some of us are and some of us aren't. Some of us don't take shit serious in regular time, so I can't imagine us taking it serious in real time. You know, some people think the laws and stuff don't apply to them.
Well, you know, at the end of the day.
And then Marvin says to you, Barry, let's go.
What you say?
Marvin Brent said, Barry, let's go.
Let's go where?
I don't know.
Where we going?
I don't know. He said, let's go.
Where we going?
So I don't know. So real quick, while we keep on going on this, it's going to happen April 1st because that's tomorrow.
I mean, a lot of folks, I believe, and my advice, if you got the money, pay. Because to me, saying, hey, I'm going to utilize this crisis as being a form of an excuse, because who wants to pay their rent? And then having the bills compile, because my thing is, there's always going to be something that's going to happen after all this is said and done.
Right
so
on.
Putting it in the back burner for maybe 2 or 3 months and then getting hit with a heavy charge like, what, $3,500 now you have to pay all together. You may not have that $3,500. So I think that a lot of folks, April 1st is going to be something that is really, for me, going to be something that's going to be a challenge. For some folks, it will. For other folks, like I said earlier, I think they were prepared for April 1st. It's going to be one of those moments where they're going to be waiting for that stimulus package and say, well, I'm not going to pay mine until I get my stimulus package. And the stimulus package, I think, might take about 2 weeks, maybe a week to come. I just hope that folks understand, as much as the president is saying that April 30th is going to come, and we're all going to go back into our stores, we're all going to go back to normal, I just don't see that happening. So April 1st is going to be heavy. Right now, it's March 31st. A lot of folks are trying to make the decision. Is it rent or is it food? And when you have to make that decision, whether it's rent or whether it's food, it has to be a situation to where I think as a society, we have to look moving forward. How are we going to change that idea where you have to decide one or the other? And I think that's what frustrates me about this whole thing. Because as a society, we realize that capitalism, though there are some goods and there's a lot more negatives, that being in this capitalistic society, we get stuck on these ideas and looking at gas. Well, all of a sudden gas is cheaper. Looking at airline flights, all of a sudden airline flights are cheaper. This is telling us that when they want to, they shall. So there should have been a direct order to say, give people April, not back pay, give people April to figure it out. And I don't understand how you're just going to sit there and say, well, here's this letter you can write out and say that I will pay my rent on the back end of my lease. I just don't look like it's going to be a good thing for people.
I think they should have also did a better job of breaking down what was in that stimulus package. Because I think companies don't need a stimulus package. I think big 500 firms or whatever, they don't need stimulus packets. I think that if they
just got $12 trillion.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think they need it. That's my personal opinion. Because
here's what they're going to do. They're going to get their package, and then on the back end, they're going to give us maybe a week to get the free, cheap flights, and they're going to nail us. They're going to price gouge. Because think about it. After this all ends, here comes the summertime. What do people like to do? People like to travel. And now that people have been so confined, people are going to live their best life because they've been detached from living their life. They're going to sit there and try to go everywhere that they never thought about going. That is going to make the airline industry recover faster than a lot of other industries. So I think it's just actually ridiculous that folks are getting bailed out that have the means.
Again, because they got bailed out in 2002. So Sister Alicia said, I'm worried about black young children, preschool, kindergartens is not getting education they needed at this time. They are also providing online education from 1st to 12th grade. I agree. I'm worried about that too. I also still do work with SCOE, so I've been keeping up with a lot of my kids and stuff like that, talking to a lot of parents. But I also think a lot of us talk a lot about this educational gap. I think this is an opportunity for some of us who talk about that educational gap to close it ourselves.
again, we talk about revolutionary building. We talk about
you close it
radicalism.
yourself.
I don't see how people are so upset with the school system when a lot of us have complained about the school system, school to prison pipeline, right? Well, guess what? You don't have the pipeline right now. So create your own. And this is when you find out who's good at math. You find out who's good at social studies, government, economics, who's good at what's that damn class that they took out?
Home ec.
Home ec. You get all those people, you put them all together, everyone have their thing that they do, and you start your own homeschool. I mean, this is the best time to do it right now. Right now, anything that you're thinking about doing, or you should try to attempt to whether plan it and get ready for the next round, or attempt to do it. But my thing is, I don't understand where people have been complaining more or less about this school system, and this school system is bad. My child is getting suspended. Well, now you don't have a school system. They're still providing you lunch. Now you can be able to do your own thing. And again, I'm not seeing the Negroes step up to do their own thing. That's not saying some folks ain't doing it. But I also say, before they start creating this social distancing way of education that will leave out your badass kid, who they're going to say, well, guess what? Well, Johnny's not doing well here. What we want Johnny to do is this social distancing kind of schooling, and the schools start figuring out how they are going to get their monies from this homeschooling kind of merge, because a lot of folks are doing this homeschooling. They start figuring out how they can get a buck off this homeschooling idea. Folks are going to lose that rawness and that realness. I think that instead of us complaining, we got to figure out those people that work in our community that have the brain power or have the necessities to be able to do the things that we need to be done. And I think when we continue to sit there and complain about systems that we've complained about, complain about them not being available, I'm just confused on what we really want.
Well, I tell you this, I agree with you. I just know that it's a very different ball game to complain about a teacher and then about your kid not wanting to do this or that, or they're not doing something with your child, as opposed to when you have to spend that time with your own child. That changes the ball game completely.
I mean, why are we being so upset about school when reality is the school has made it a lot easier, because now they're going to go to social distancing education, and now you got to find yourself a computer, and now they're going to have Johnny and Sandra, they're going to be able to be virtual. That's everything is gone virtual. So, you know, this is something that they've been talking about, virtuality, for a long, long time, many moves. And now we're watching and seeing how all this stuff is happening right before our very eyes. And I think that when you keep on saying this system is designed to destroy, why are you complaining about a system that's down and going back? This should be the time where you can say, all right, you know what, Johnny don't need to really go back to the school because we got it over here. Because guess what, folks? Here's the news that you need to know. Your child will be vaccinated by the time all of this shit moves forward. By the time this is all said and done, vaccinations will be for every damn child moving forward. This is what I believe and I feel in my heart is going to happen. They are going to say your child, before they even step into the school, has to have a vaccination for A, B, and C, just like they have to have it right now. They're really going to push that in. So
Nicole said, parents blame the schools for not educating their child. You are supposed to be the first teacher. Stop playing games online and go on the school district site and get the lesson plan. Stop with the stop with the excuses. Be accountable.
Well, I mean, tell Sister Nicole they too busy at the sideshow or going to the party in LA. I'm just saying. I mean, I'm just being honest. You know, I mean, they too busy at the sideshow.
Wow.
To watch that.
So Sister Alicia says, I have my own private tutor of parents who don't want to deal with their kids and don't want to pay. Well, because they want to pay for their wants, not their needs. Well, this is something about that needs.
school is free in a sense. You don't necessarily, public schools are free in a sense, right? Our tax money pays for it, but in a sense of, I don't have to give you a check. A check doesn't come out from you, the parent, to a public school system. Now when you talk, because it's not part of a public entity that gets tax revenue, now it's going to be funds that are going to be needed to provide the necessary things for the school to run and function. Are the Negroes ready for that? I say no. Because you have to now pay into something. And that's always been our issue.
I agree. Crystal,
I know you're laughing, but it's the truth.
No. Crystal says Spectrum offers free internet for students while they're on lockdown. But Rosa said Google and Apple are already involved in homeschooling by providing laptops to those who can afford it, and Comcast by providing internet services to low-income households. Homeschooling is being privatized as we speak.
Exactly. So see,
Right
again, a wave that Negroes made that some folks looked at as unpopular. Some folks was like, I ain't gonna homeschool my child or whatever. Now it's becoming popular because in moments like this, see, here's the one thing that we have to understand in a pandemic or things like this, any kind of tragedy, we have to also know is a test ground, right? Mm-hmm. Whether the tragedy was created on purpose, at the end of the day, a test ground is being set up to see what can we push. Once again, we talk about 9/11, the test ground. Well, we gonna tell these Negroes as weapons of mass destruction, then we gonna lift up these gas prices. Remember, the Bushes, they were all into the oil game, right? Mm-hmm. They were all into the oil game, and they was all into the Middle Eastern game. So at the end of the day, that oil revenue is gonna help their dynasty a lot more than the American people. So we go ahead and test Negroes, see if they can change from $1 in gas prices to damn near freaking $5. And guess what? We allowed it because we did not push back and say, whoa, hold up. And what y'all talking about? Especially when we heard and found out the weapons of mass destruction was a lie.
Yep.
It was like, oh, why? Because we were too busy watching baseball, too busy watching football, too busy going to the club, too busy going to church, too busy being entertained or distracted.
Okay, Barry, the churches. Is it possible for black folks in particular to just do church at home or watch it on the live stream?
Well, here's what I'm going to say. Now, when you talk about that, when we talk about the schools, right, when we talk about the test ground, everything now is being tested to see how much, like think about a lot of the businesses that when they come back into business, they'll shut down the big building, downsize, and start saying you can work from home. So now they've downsized and they're not having to pay this enormous lease rent, and now they can just sit there and say, well, we can 10 workers instead of 50 workers. When you look at the churching industry, as long as they can get Negroes to go ahead and give their Cash App, their PayPal, their Venmo, whatever it is, to go give the church some money and some revenue, you're going to start seeing churches downsize as well. But guess what? The testing ground for the churches have also already been, if they've been paying attention, is a lot of the people that do a lot of podcasts that ask for donations, and folks gladly give it to them. So a testing ground has already been there. So I feel a test ground is for a lot of different things moving forward. And if we don't pay attention, we're going to get scooped and unraveled. I believe that the church, especially when you think about how much money they have to probably pay for facility costs, they're probably really looking at this virtual reality of doing virtual church a lot more conveniently, especially the simple fact that you don't know what next epidemic is going to come or pandemic is going to come after this. They're probably going to look at, for some of the smaller churches, they're probably going to sit there, we could probably cut down our volume of costs and go virtual instead of having to pay for this big building so we can keep more money for us.
Barry, during this time, do you feel like you need your office space?
That's funny. You know the funny part about it?
Shit.
A lot of, I mean, Zoom, I tell people if you're gonna go get some stock, get some Zoom stock. I mean, this makes it a lot more easier, right? My office space, it's good to have an office per se, but when people aren't meeting each other, like, what can you really do? So a lot of the times, you think about it, has our office been our homes, even with our office? Yes, it has been. The only thing about what we need our office spaces for, we deal with a lot of people. I'm not going to bring I can't
bring everybody to my house
how
either.
many people that's come to my house during this time, they ain't coming. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not going to open up my door like that. So then again, I would need an office space. But let's really think about some of the people, major manufacturers, major industries that really don't need office space like that. Remember, sis, Uber, Facebook, they utilize us as a form of product, right? Uber didn't even have cars. They used us, our cars, and they started a $1 trillion business. Facebook, they use our social information, and they have a $1 trillion business. So this kind of thing that's happening right now, it's about to be next level. I don't think people are prepared for that.
Right on. Let me give a couple of comments in, Barry. Crystal say, brother, what vaccinations? Please spill the tea. People agree with you. Exactly, Barry. Nicole says, I hear you, Barry. There will be casualties of this war. Some people are really in the way in order for us to move forward. Some people really need to be gone. May not sound good, but it's true. I hear you on that because I'm so sick of niggas. Okay, our teachers in Duncanville, Texas have come together to make a class online for medical students, and my girls love it. Crystal said, no excuses now, though. Kelly says, I believe this is going to be a new norm. Crystal says, people can watch TV from church from their TV from their homes, but the pastor is complaining about no tithing and offerings because those are the people who didn't keep up with technology. Rosa said Creflo Dollar, see, like Creflo, made a cash app to get his tithing and offerings. Overhead will be eliminated.
Yes.
And those are some of the things in there. I was going to say some of this is about technology and you being able to keep up with technology. Exactly. And I think some people were ahead of that curve, and some of us is still on, wanting to take notes like with a pen and a pad, where some people are on to just talking until they watch. I mean, but I also...
Go ahead, Queen.
No, I was going to say, this is just me. I grew up watching a lot of sci-fi. I'm a sci-fi fanatic, always been since a kid. Because to me, Twilight Zone is sci-fi. Like, that was out back in the 50s. And what I'm saying is you'll be looking at stuff that look like it's the future, but you don't even know when you've stepped into it. And so if you ever watched the Jetsons, like that was a cartoon that wasn't realistic, but when you look back at the Jetsons, we're doing Jetson shit right now, like talking to each other through a screen.
Yeah.
That's Jetsons. Yeah.
Jetsons, no doubt. I mean, this is something that they've been working on.
Yeah.
But I just think that, like folks really have to understand, Creflo Dollars, as many people want to shit on him, that nigga was understanding the time. He probably thinking in his mind, I should have did this a long time ago, right? Because at the end of the day, as it moves into having us have cashless, right? They're working on cashless, right? We're working on having no cash. So money becomes obsolete. It is all digital. We're going into this digital era. And for folks to believe that this is not a test ground for all these things, trust me, there's a lot of people that are not going to be able to pay this outrageous bill. If the Cheesecake Factory is saying to their landlords, we are not going to be able to pay, this gives a lot of people some game. Just because a business has their name on that building don't mean they own that property. For people that always think that, oh man, he got a business or she got a business. Nah, the biggest conglomerates from Targets to Walmarts, they don't own the land of every place they are standing at. Right, they don't own the building of every place they're standing at. They're leasing just like you. That's why I say to people, you can own your own business as well. When you got folks like that saying, not going to be able to pay my bills, the only thing that you can't do virtual is food. So the food spots, if the smaller food businesses can rely on people, and I'm going to say it again, Black people, support your local Black-owned restaurants, wherever they are. Take out at least twice a week if you can afford it. twice a week if you can, because those are the places that will be benefiting, because a lot of these bigger conglomerates are not going to be able to handle if they have not enough people coming to take out, because people love dining experience.
Right.
If you can't go take out, guess what? How can you pay the bills? Because all of these folks, I mean, especially in the food industry, you're mostly in the red half the time. You're paying the bills, being able to keep up. 1 month can eliminate you. So when we talk about stimulus packages to this place and that place, we got to also look at the industries that are going to collapse. Churches won't survive. A lot of food spots won't survive. And going back to the question about vaccination, I don't know what vaccination they're going to have, but I'm going to tell you something about marketing. Once it was called coronavirus, right? Now it's called what? COVID-19.
COVID-19. Yep.
Do you see how they've switched up the narrative? Now that sounds like, shoot, I need to go get that vaccination for that. Compared to something like, hell no, coronavirus, then I don't want that. They're marketing it already to the people. So when you get ready to go ahead and get that medicine, get that vaccination, take that test, it already has a terminology that's more marketable than just having a coronavirus.
How do you think 45 is doing with this? I did watch his press conference yesterday with the sister who was asking him the question, and yeah, what you think about his job performance?
What you feel?
I think he's quite entertaining to me. I think he feels like he's on a reality TV show,
Yes.
and I think the American people can thank themselves for his behavior, because
Yes.
we were so entertained by it when he was on You're Fired or whatever the hell the show was.
Yes.
And so now he's the president, and I will say this, and I didn't vote for Donald Trump, y'all. I did not. But I could also just keep it real. I think that he proves that anybody could do that goddamn job. I don't think you need a special degree. I don't think you have to have, Harvard educated to be the president of these here United States. I think he has shown that you could just be a bum on the street and probably do a better job. I think that he has taken off the blinders of the bullshit that we tell ourselves that you need to be successful in this society. That's what I think. So I think people get mad because he's being who he really is, but I think he's being what America has always been. Yeah. I think some of us want to be comforted with a lie instead of just being hurt with the truth. And I think I think he is being his ancestors.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Pompous, arrogant, not with the facts. I mean, I love him and the doctor that go back and forth. He says one thing, he says another thing. And the coolest part about the whole play with Trump, he is utilizing this as a re-election campaign. And
I don't think there's going to be an election, Barry, but that's just me.
Listen, and anybody else, whether it's Biden or Sanders, they don't have a chance, because the only person we're seeing, whether he's flipping on words, whether he's checking some reporter, whether he's arguing back and forth with maybe doctors, whether he's telling non-truths, some truths, where he's being pompous, where he's basically saying, I deserve the credit for this, I deserve the credit for that, I'm saving America. He has all of the time. And from what I'm hearing sometimes, bad publicity is just as good as good publicity. And he has all of the mantle to speak his truth and his agenda. And if we get through this, whether it's hook or crook, he is the only face you remember, and he will be the only face you go into the polls. Because see, here's what it is. That stimulus package, you're not going to remember the simple fact that they argued about it. You're not going to remember that really he had nothing to do with it but just signing the damn check.
And he did take care of his people that's in his base.
Oh, yeah, take care of that. But I'm talking about for the common folk.
Yep.
You are going to remember Donald Trump. Through this whole thing, I am hearing that his popularity is kind of heightened in the last month due to this. And this is through all the fumbling. This is through all of the This is through all the arguments with governors. This is through all of the back and forth with the New York governor and so on and so forth, telling governors they should be thankful and telling folks we're going to do this and telling folks we're going to do that and making up some ridiculous ideas that we're going to be out of this April 12th, now April 30th. Trump is the only thing you see, so Trump will be the thing that you go for.
Comes on every day.
This is probably the biggest campaign boost in a place where you thought he probably would have some competition. I think the polls, when it comes down, Americans are going to be too tired to even focus on that because they're getting their stuff back together again, that they're going to just deal with the obvious. And I feel that we're going to have 4 more years of Trump, whether we like it or not.
Because we tend not to change presidents in the middle of a crisis. Ask Bush.
Oh, for sure.
So, and I also know.
Remember, sis, as you said that, that's very true. Even after what happened in Katrina, even after the lies about the war, Bush still got 4 more years. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, no, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm agreeing with you.
Yep.
Literally, it was like, wait a minute, hold up. Are y'all? Because before Trump, George Bush Jr. was considered probably the dumbest president that we probably really could relate to, right? But are they really as dumb as they appear to be?
Because they ain't running nothing, though. They just figureheads. They ain't running shit.
Well, they running some kind of hustle because at the end of the day,
what was that? What was that? Iron Man, when they had the dude that was the he was an actor really, but he was the person like I'm gonna blow up the world, and I can't remember what his name. But he really was a British actor. He wasn't really running shit. It was a whole other group of people who was like, we're going to scare people with this fool so we can run this game over here. Because Americans don't think like that.
The game is being ran. And that's why I want folks to really honestly look at what's going on right now. Game is being ran by us. The game is being ran. And if you don't really understand that, because what's going to happen, as soon as people are able to walk back outside, them gas prices going to go back to where it was. Them airline prices is going to go back to where it was. That toilet paper, now that they know, that price is going to go to a higher place than it was before. Right? These ideas and these workers like essential workers are going to be now utilized in a vocabulary where now workers, if you're not essential, you will not be needed and you're going to get some of those workers cut. There's so many different things outside of just what we're dealing with this pandemic, this health crisis. There's a social crisis and then an economic crisis that we have to pay attention to. And if you don't think that this is a perfect time to apply the pressure on the people, because the people are like running scared, this is what they're going to do. We as a people have to turn around and play offense instead of defense and apply the pressure on them. We cannot allow the price gouging to go up back on these industries that we know have gotten bailed out, right? This is just an unfortunate thing. We've seen that plot before. And I think that we're going to go around and get duped again because we've seen that with the recession.
So let me ask you this, Barry. Why is it so hard for American people or the people in America, that the ones who are like the common folks, why is it so hard for them to stand up for anything? See, in other countries, they'll just burn the shit down. In other countries, they'll go to the street. In other countries, they'll fight their government. Like they would really. Why do you think that's hard for Americans to do that?
Because America has been sucking on the bottle of the American system. And the ideas of that's why I hate the I have a dream speech, because it keeps you into this idea and this notion that this dream is possible, and they keep playing and playing and playing. So the Negro who's hopeless or the Negro who hasn't found themselves will still believe in this idea of a dream when the reality has to be like that shit ain't gonna work because we've tried that and we got to do something different. When major grocery stores and supermarkets became the only thing that Americans had to go to, aside to when we had our own farming system, right? Agriculturally, remember back in the day, motherfuckers was eating off the fruit of their own land. You got a backyard, you gonna have everything in there from chickens to freaking cows to sheep. Whatever you're gonna eat is gonna be back there. Now, you gotta go where? You gotta go to a grocery store. Now, instead of you working not for the system or off the system, you are now on welfare. You're on what is government aid or whatever the hell they want to call it. I need the system to provide me my monies and my foods. I operate from that. So you got so many Americans that are toeing that line of poverty or rich, and a lot of us is on more poverty. You're going to have more people that are going to say, I can't do anything and operate because I don't know how to operate for self, because I have been indoctrinated into society to tell me I need assistance, I need assistance, I need assistance, and as well as making it a little bit more. Here's what's that? Remember when the microwaves came? The microwaves came, and then that became the end of sitting down with your family and eating food, right? Family dinners.
And then we got radiation.
Yeah, because that creation created that idea of quick, fast. That's been the notion. Quick, fast, on the go. Because America wanted us to operate quick, fast, throw it in the microwave and go. So why do you need to sit there, have that nice, long, extended meal, sit down with your family, operate like that? No, because you're too on the go to help this system build. And we've built a system we built a system against ourselves. And that's our fault, right? That's our fault. Because we should have sat there and said, when that new Safeway wanted to come in, like, nah, I like John's local produce spot. John's been here for 35 years. He don't got to go. Yeah, Safeway looks nice, but I'm going to sit there and work with John. We allowed big industry and big corporations because it was deemed easier. That's why Walmart's are be able to pop up everywhere. They got lower costs for things that we deposit a little bit more on. But in the reality, it wipes out the little man. And then when you look at it, in a small business industry that will probably be impacted the most. Me and my business partner, we tried to get a small business loan. That was only $1 million for the city. They said no. And I knew we weren't going to get it because I know there's so many more smaller businesses that they're looking at more essential to try to keep going. So the small businesses are going to hurt the most out of this whole equation. And I think that us being not able to be self-sufficient hurts us, in the long run moving forward.
Right on. Question, Amazon, real quick, because we're going to have to wrap up in like another 10, 15 minutes. But Amazon, what's going on with the Amazon workers? And how does this affect,
The Amazon workers are basically saying enough is enough because they're essential. They're doing deliveries because people are still doing what? They're ordering from Amazon.
They're still buying.
They're still buying. Folks are still buying. You still got to buy whatever because there's things that you can't find in the store. Amazon becomes a major player. And I guess one of the folks was like, hey, man, this is not we're not being covered. We're risking our lives. And they had a walkout, as rightfully they should. This is a time for Americans, all black, white, to be able to still say we still have control of our destiny and still be rebels with a cause. And the cause is you just can't let them just tell you whatever or do whatever in these moments and times because they're saying, well, you're essential. No, I still need to get certain things in place to cover me and protect me, because anyone that's going outside doing any work, healthcare workers, people at the grocery stores, people doing deliveries, they are at high risk because they're still outside. They're still having to work. They're still having to keep this community going. So if you're not giving them extra pay, if you're not protecting them with the essentials that they need, the equipment that they need, there should be a walkout. Because right now, the Amazons, the FedExes, the mailbox folks, UPSs of the world, they are in high demand. They are needed. And I don't think that what's happening is the rich being who they are, the rich, and still trying to give them the lower bottom of what they deserve.
Wow. Well, hey, because a lot of people, I haven't bought anything in the last 3 weeks. When I'm telling people save, I'm not bullshitting. Because you don't know what's really coming down the pike. You really don't have any idea. But I tell you this, Barry, I have been talking to a lot of my elders, some of which who were raised with people who grew up in the Depression. And they've given me a pretty good idea in terms of what the Depression was really like, which is we're definitely not facing nothing like that for real.
No.
But it's good to know how they survive, huh?
They didn't have Netflix and Hulu.
They didn't have food. Shit.
They didn't have the internet.
Yeah.
Some people are surviving off the internet. Like one of my people, Morgan, just said, the comfort of convenience, we were hooked and we bought that. We bought into that. Convenience.
Yep.
That was one of the words I was looking at. Convenience is something that we bought into. That's systematic programming, convenience, and being a microwave society. That's why this can't be a time for the panic to happen. It's a time for us to think, focus, and really reevaluate how we've been moving and operating. We got to bring back the dinner, the food at the table for dinner time, not just go get yours and figure it out. We got to go bring that.
But that's,
a lot of those discussions create a lot of great ideas moving forward.
Yeah, and you know that has everything to do with family, though, because everything's gonna come back to that idea. I agree with.
They don't want to deal with family. They don't want to deal with.
Yeah, but you know that means you have to take care of your kids. Like, you know, I really hate to think about all the babies that's gonna come out of this corona time period, and the disconnectedness people gonna have around it.
The voices, that's gonna be the highest thing. Trust me. And it's going to be black people running to do this when black people need to get together, and we need to continue to embrace each other, continue to challenge each other, and continue to prepare for the next round. And I think that's what we're doing. We're continuing to prepare. I know that we are, but we want to make sure that other folks are preparing. We have to challenge the system, because the system's going to come around and try to make what we're going through as normal, but then come back and be on some other normal-ish with some other shit.
I'm gonna tell you this though, I've gone to Home Depot a few times, like for some light bulbs and stuff like that, and I was seeing white people getting plywood and rope, and I mean like big carts and shit, Barry, like just like what they building. You know, I'm in there for some light bulbs.
But I don't, you know what? I don't know that many black folk like us that have gardens. I like to talk to a few of them, and they're telling me they got real gardens and they got seeds. They're prepared. It's one thing to have a garden, but then there's another thing to have seeds. I was just like, damn, I need to be married into your family, because that's what some people are really actually doing.
That's real
to
talk.
live off the land is one thing, but to live off the grid is a whole other place. And I think that's what we have to be starting to say. If it's a right time to start a little garden, whether it's on the front porch of your apartment or in the back of your house,
that's real talk.
You better start putting that shit together right now, because we have just conveniently just been mesmerized by the convenience of what a system that has been designed to keep us down and oppress us can do for us. And now that we're seeing, for these people can't do shit for me. Because if you ain't going to be able to do something for me right now when I'm bleeding dry, you for sure ain't going to be able to do something for me when I'm back up. So this should be an eye-opening experience for everyone.
I seen people buying those big ass tubs. They look like you would like see them in the like horses and stuff eating out of them. Well, I asked the dude, I said, "What would you do with something this big?" He goes, "Oh, I'm planting in this." They're like these steel tubs, but they're really long. He said, "Yeah, I'm gonna plant some stuff in these. That's why I got these." And I thought to myself, "Wow, that's something we really, really got to look at." And I always tell people, because my grandmother was the same way. My dad's mom, when she stayed with us, she always had something in tomatoes, greens. I mean, that's what she did. So whatever our trauma is about dirt, we better get over that shit, because you're going to have to be able to feed yourself for real. Because also, would you want to buy genetically modified and engineered food? Would you want to really do that?
Talk to them.
Just saying.
That's another thing that we have to be careful of. That if they control it, they gonna control and provide it the way they usually do with everything else.
Yep.
And they've been good. Because you know what's crazy to me? The fast food industry has not missed a beat. I'm seeing people still line up in a drive-through in their cars getting that garbage. Crazy. Crazy.
Barry, I bought some grapes and some blueberries. You know how blueberries is usually small? These blueberries was like this big. Like about that big. A blueberry. Wow. I said, this is blackberries. I said, wow, this is kind of big. Grapes, this damn big. Like a grape. One grape. And I said, that's kind of big for a grape. Meanwhile, the organic grape is smaller, costs a little more. And I was like, because if you're buying stuff that preserves itself, what will it do in your body?
Exactly. Right?
Shit to think about.
There's a lot of things that we have to think about, and I know a lot of folks are going through it. Like I said, again, April 1st is around the corner. Like I told you before, and I'm going to say it again, this is going to be the revealing month. This month, we have a full month to now really feel what the impact is. If you got kids doing sideshows, if you got young people out there still trying to party and upset that they can't party, right? I think that you're going to have a lot more real life situations that pop off if they're upset about these different little things. This is going to be a very trying month. We're going to really see the pulse of America when we now get into a month that some of us weren't prepared for because we went to work. March, we prepared. Some of us can make it through April. Then we going through May. Then if it doesn't come April 30th, all doors are open. What does that say? Because from what I'm hearing, the misinformation is you got April 30th and some folks saying we ain't going to get out of this till June or August. So once people keep on being stir crazy, continue to be in a house and can't really release and really do the things that functionally they're able to do, I'm okay with social distancing because I'm still kind of doing what I'm doing. You're going crazy hard with a lot of the work that you're doing. So it's makes a kind of good time. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm kind of giving my time to break away from the rush, right? Kind of ease into my schedule. A lot of people, they need that social interaction. They need that kind of impulse, that activity. And if you don't have that, going on to the next month, especially a privileged country like America. This is America. This is America. Sis, I don't know.
And we know America was founded on a slave system. So she gonna always need slaves.
Listen, I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to be the next few weeks going to look like moving forward. Next Tuesday, how our conversation is going to be. Because at the end of the day, I don't believe, and I'm going to speak for my own people, a lot of us are prepared. Because if you don't call this a martial law, they ain't calling it that. But
that's what they're going to use for the presidency. It's going to be martial law. He ain't going to vote anyway.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of what it is without saying what it is, right? I'm just saying. Just before we go, I got to give a shout out to, young Nipsey Hussle. Brother was murdered today. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us.
A year ago, not today, y'all. You gotta be clear, because
a year ago today.
Thinking this shit happened today. You know, Negroes
today, and that shook a lot of people, and I know a lot of folks are giving their shots out to him. For me, Nipsey Hussle, I was always I loved how he got down. I learned a lot more about him after his death, but I was always a fan of his music. I think that with Nipsey Hussle's death, you kind of saw a lot of bandwagon jumping. You saw a lot of folks pushing, and that's all good. You know, that's beautiful. But what I like to say is give people their roses when they're alive. Like, don't do it when they're dead. You know what I'm saying? It seems like we have a tendency, and it becomes a trend, that we lift up some folks that do great work in our community outside of like the other stuff when they're dead. So that to me is, shouts out to the brother.
We love leading with dead generals for living armies. For living armies. But we give you a dead general. I'm with you.
Say that one more time.
So somebody told me once, a dead general cannot lead a living army.
That's crazy.
So we like to give black people dead generals to lead their living selves, which is crazy.
About it. I mean, we're still being led by the words, like I said, no disrespect to my brother Martin Luther King, but we're still being led by the dream. And if this is what the dream looked, when I call some of my brethrens and they basically tell me that I'm not essential enough or we can't do whatever in their community, it speaks volumes to me.
Right on.
This is what it looks like.
Dear Sister Tina McClain, I gotta say, this is beautiful the way she put it. She said, yes, America has been in a bad car accident and now everybody sees their dirty draws.
And they shit it on themselves. But you know what, also, Tina, the real talk about it, as I've told folks many times on the show, the domestic violence relationship that we've been in with America, black people in America, I hope niggas like really are not losing sight on what's going on.
Right on.
$2 trillion was being given to bail out us and some other folks. And they've argued and they've demanded that there's no way in hell that we could get payment for what our ancestors went through.
I want my check.
And reparations. as well as all of the other things the African American experience has brought us. And we talk about syphilis disease, the syphilis experiment. We talk about mass incarceration,
lynching,
we talking about we talk Black Wall Street, Rosewood, redlining, black codes.
You can go down a whole damn list.
Lot of and now you see them pull out $2 trillion. Don't ever in your life, and that's why I'm going to speak directly to the Negro, the silly ass Negro, who always want to go to the side of the system saying, "Oh, how can they do it? It's impossible." Anything is possible when you are just making it as you go. They're just making this shit up as they go.
Just print more goddamn money and pay people.
The pandemic is what it is because America had no real plan for this. As Bill Gates said before, a year ago in one of his TED Talks, we're not prepared for no pandemic. We're not prepared. So I'm saying this: prepare to run our check, and we don't want to hear no excuses. No excuses on why you can't, why you shouldn't, because what is being shown to us that they can, could, would, should, if they wanted to, and we got to put that pressure because we've seen it work. $2 trillion, just like that. Another some $1 trillion for this and to that, and niggas still ain't got our check. And besides the check, we want our land.
Shit, they
show us North Dakota if you have to. Show us some place in Las Vegas or Nevada or wherever. Show us where we can have our land. In Mississippi, somewhere. We want our check, we want our land. It can be divided, it can be provided. But if we continue to just worry about a movie being open, a church being open, a sports team or sports games being on, worrying about flying all over and not worrying about our essentials, which is our freaking reparation check so we can be into the game. We've seen them do it. Now we have to tell them to go run it. And this must be a cause and effect that all black people take on, because you Negroes cannot tell me any longer that it's impossible. How are they doing? How are they divided? We have watched them do it all right in front of your eyes. So no longer can we sit there and talk about it can't be done. It can be done. They did it for the Jews. They did it for the Asians. They've done it for the Indians.
Yep, they did it for everybody but us.
So stop with that. I don't want to hear none of that silly Negro conversation and rhetoric. If you want to be revolutionary, start on that. Let's start creating petitions. Let's start talking to our black people in Congress and caucus and local. We start talking this in real time. And stop dividing it in groups where Negroes are saying, well, only African Americans. No. If you are an African and you're living in America, your ancestors have been here, you deserve a check. Because this was a global thing.
Now, Mary, I'm clear, but I'm going to say this. I don't want people to get a check that was not their experiences. I can tell you the plantation my great-great-grandmother rolled off of. I'm going to need y'all to produce some receipts, because a lot of niggas, Barry, will get money who don't even give a fuck about black people. They don't even like being black. They should not get a check. Sorry. We got to stop putting people in places that they don't deserve. Should you get a check? Hell yeah. Should I get a check? Hell yeah. But there are black people, Barry, who don't want to be black, who was not down with the fight. They should not collect a penny.
Right.
You didn't even love your goddamn ancestors, so you shouldn't get shit.
And them deadbeat ass Negroes who ain't taking care of their kids, that make it more of a problem.
But that's true.
But I'm
you're right, Barry.
Watched it. We have watched America do what America wants to do.
I agree.
When America wants to do.
I agree. No, I agree with you. I agree with you. I just,
on that part,
yeah.
That's all I'm
no, it just killed me because I hear black people like, I ain't black. Well, nigga, don't you try to get none of this goddamn money.
Trust me. Now you don't need to get no money. I heard people tell me I ain't African.
Yeah. Oh, if we could just make a list of these people, Barry.
Yeah.
You know.
We need. So we really need to focus. And again, once again, don't get that stimulus package and send it to Adidas, Nike, and Amazon.
Yeah. Don't give it to them. Right on.
If like I said, I'm about to go run out here and get this cash donation. Someone's about to give us a big cash donation right now for the feed again for family. It's Cash App. Barry Accius, BERRYACCIUS, as well as PayPal, #1, voiceoftheyouth@gmail.com. Whatever you want to donate, family. We're not sitting there saying you got to donate this, donate. Whatever's in your heart, boom. I'm appreciative because someone just saw what we're, saw our podcast, and they like, I need to meet you. I want to drop you $500. They say they want to drop $500.
Right on.
That $500 right there
can feed
is
a
going to
lot.
get some charcoal. It's going to get hot dogs. It's going to get burgers. It's going to get so many different things. And then that with other monies that has been coming in, it helps support. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to air out that silly-ass Negro who didn't want to support. I want to show y'all people who you keep on putting all of your trust in to provide a way for us to help each other or get ourselves out. Like I said, sis, you're really starting to see who are the real generals and soldiers who are really willing to go that extra mile, that extra step in these moments. If niggas who claim they are what they say they are, and they're just hiding behind a screen, they're not getting their hands dirty, or they're not giving information or doing things that the people can see so we can galvanize and we can say, hey, I want to be a part of that. That's very trying to see, because I don't want to see your ass show up when it's only police bullshit or all the things like that, that really at the end of the day, not all black people are dealing with police,
Some people got to call the police, shit.
Police brutality is not police brutality is not our biggest issue. That's one of the issues.
Yeah, but it ain't the biggest one. You ain't never lied on that shit.
And when we try to create that, that's the only thing. Like, we got to look at the Negroes who are in office, who are not doing a damn thing, or just sitting there, and all you Negroes, if you are dealing with all these celebrities, because the Negroes is addicted to celebrities, and these motherfuckers ain't sitting there really stepping in, listen, the day of reckoning is here. Look at and see and surround yourself with doers and people that are about pushing the righteousness. That's all I got to say, sis.
All right, brother. Well, we out of here, Barry. Again, another great show. Love it. Love you, brother. Take care.
Love you, sis. All right. Take care. Be safe. Be easy. Make sure I seen you coughing a few times.
No, I'm good, man. I was clearing my throat, Barry. I'm clearing my throat.